My brief is 10 minutes, 10. Sibongile? 10, right? And I'm going to try and be true to that. And to show you that I have no text. You know, judges write long texts. It's part of our job. It's in our job description. What do you think? You write. Because everybody else wants to read what you think. I'm not doing that today. My life's journey makes me run into Nelson Mandela on Robben Island. I'm a young lad. He is my father's age. He has many, many more years to do life. I have only 10 to do. And I do 10 years, I come out, he remains for 17 years on Robben Island whilst I am out here. Many things happen. Our roads converge again, and he says, Dikgang, Danam, children are central to my life, and we've got to do something about this. He finds Irene Manel, Irene's husband, a number of South Africans, and he draws them from just about all shades and persuasions in South Africa and sets up the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. He emphasizes his global embrace of humanism, the love for human beings, and sets that in motion to try and protect and help us rethink, Bongi, to think again how we're going to relate to children. And if you look at his history, this must sit quite central. He moves, he's young, he goes to live with his uncle. That's where he grows up and where he finds strength. He comes to Johannesburg. So his whole life was also about a family arrangement that was not always ideal at all times. And we agree, and we become the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. Mama Grasha, you remember how every morning when we had the annual function where we brought children out, just how he burst into complete smile, complete ecstasy. And he was so true to that cause, so central to it. And Bongi, he goes down this route, Yvonne, and you've had a lot of that, now our esteemed leader at the foundation. And he comes to this idea, as you heard from Bongi. I'm not going to trace the history. It is known. It's unnecessary for me to do that. There are two things I want to say and sit down. Besides it having been a pleasure to be invited by somebody of his stature to come and lead what he loved so dearly, together with fellow trustees. Massive privilege. He comes to the idea that something much larger must be made. We find Bongi, and I remember interviewing Sibongile. We needed a CEO. Dita, are you going to make it, Sisi? And I was the first to rise in the standing ovation because you have been wonderful. You have been amazing. And we found Mama Grasha to lead the trust, the hospital trust, together with all the wonderful South Africans who have come in. If he were here, he would have said, Diabulela, Diabulela. And I want to arrogate to myself that duty to say it on his behalf, because he had asked me to do so many things in his life. When he had a moment of crisis, for some reason, I was the one he would call up. And Mama, I remember with pain, and we've done this to coincide with that, as you phoned me that night when Tata was gasping, as Bongi was looking for me all over in order to be there, as you were there, as family was there, because I had the singular privilege of being part of the big projects in his life, continuing now as his executor with Tata George in Tata's husband. So I think it's quite appropriate for me on his behalf to say to all of you, to the donors, to all who have worked around this, to the Children's Fund, to the Children's Hospital Trust, to Wits University, who made the land available to us. Adam Habib, thank you ever so much. All the School of Medicine at Wits, who were all around the project. I saw some of our professors here. Thank you ever so much. And here it is a reality, and it's going to work. Last thought. This is a great country. We're going through a wobble. Minister, we need men and women of courage. We need men and women of vision. The struggle is far longer than a term of one leader. It's a great struggle, it's glorious, it straddles over centuries. When you have a long, difficult journey and you hit a bad patch, or you have a transatlantic flight, have you felt those? At some point over the sea, they go wild. It's a bad patch. You buckle up, but you continue with the journey. And this hospital is a reminder to all of us that there's place for hard work, there's place for excellence, there's place for honesty, there's place for doing good things, there's place for giving and not taking, for giving. And that's what Nelson Mandela represented, giving, giving, giving. I lived close to him. He would never, he was president, say, Dikgang, let's get some money from Treasury. He never did that. Minister, he would say, Dikgang, I'm going to all those many states in the Middle East. They seem to have a lot of money. And then he comes back in the morning and I go to the house in his overcoat. Somehow he went always when it's winter. He had checks and checks, Bongile. And he'd give me the checks and I go and give them to Ahmad or to Ratliff or to you, Bongi. Lots of checks, but he can't remember which prince of which Bahrain or gave him the checks. So we could never go and write to them and say, the most high mighty prince of where, thank you for the $5 million. By the time we were done, we had an endowment of 800 million, Bongile. There was Nelson Mandela collecting to give to others. And he never took the money in his pocket. And I can show you. Finally, we have decided the journey will be a just, democratic, inclusive, and socially just, I must add, society. There are a few potholes and a bit of challenge on the road, Minister. But the journey is still good. And that's why 2 days ago in Khayelitsha, young people said to me, Nelson Mandela sold out. And I said, Mandabam, just back off and listen to me, just one moment. True revolutions are never linear. They meander, they curve, they go in different ways. In 1994, we managed to get political freedom, led by Nelson Mandela. And it behoves us, Minister, and all our leaders to understand that we've got to deepen the gains of that transition in 1994. And one of the best ways is to give, and this is why this hospital is here, to remind us that we must give, particularly to our children. God bless and thank you.